And every year coming forward is to get this paperwork squared away and get all the forms from the WIA taken care of at the school and all that good stuff, and we can explain some of that stuff too. For those that do not know me, I am Jeff Dorshan, the athletic director here at Crivitz High School. Looking forward to another fantastic year in Crivitz athletics and all co-curriculars for that matter. Got some pretty nice things in store here for this year. With the efforts of our softball program, we're building a softball field here on campus. We're looking to do some fundraising to improve some of our irrigation here on our athletic fields, and you know, we have a group of kids coming back. So really looking forward to what's in store here. As you walked in as well on the other side, the sports boosters have their table set up full of Crivitz apparel. They have a lot of nice items for sale right there for you to pick out and you can buy today. But along with that, the sports boosters are going to have a change of the guard here coming up. We've had some members on our executive committee that have been there a long time, have been dedicated, and have helped our athletic programs out tremendously. And some of the folks on there now are having children that are graduating and they're filtering through, and they're going to be stepping down, and we need your help. There's a sign-up sheet on a clipboard on that table that has all the forms over there of events that we would like you to donate a couple hours of your time, just a couple times during the season. You know, a lot of hands make little work, and you know, if only a couple people are helping out, it's just not going to be feasible. We're not going to be able to sustain our athletic programs because, quite frankly, with the budgets the way they are in the school districts, they're a huge help. And without them, our programs would not be around. So I think our high school programs are important enough for you and for our kids to partake in, and they're a big reason financially as to why they still, you know, why we still have them around. And so please ask them. They'll have all kinds of information for you as far as signing up is concerned. You don't have to necessarily be a part of the booster club, but we do need those individuals to sign up for events when your child is not playing. For example, August 28th, we have a home varsity football game that night. Our JV and varsity volleyball are at a try in Gillett, and our freshman volleyball is hosting a quad here. Okay, so that's just an example, but we really need everybody to step up. And you know, if your son or daughter doesn't play in a fall sport, maybe they only play in a winter sport or just a spring sport, you know, that would really help us out if you can, you know, donate some time. And you make new friends and get to meet people that you may not have necessarily run into before. And really, at the end of the day, it really isn't all that much work. You know, primarily just working our concession stands and helping out in that regard. As far as your paperwork is concerned, hopefully, like I said before, you have a copy of all that. I just want to explain a couple things. Our transportation form, there was a lot of questions about that last year. We tried to simplify that this year. At the start of every season, initially, you would have to fill in a new transportation request, or transportation form, I should say. It's for liability purposes. In today's day and age of litigation, there's been school districts that have been getting sued for kids getting into car accidents on the way to practice. And so it's just a liability thing on the school's end. So regardless if your son or daughter is going to ride the bus home every single game or contest, we still need you to fill that out and sign that waiver. If your son or daughter is going to ride home with you, simply put, all you need to do, even if it's just for one or two events, just put down that for all events they're going to be riding home with you. Okay? And then if they're on the bus, if we have more on our account than what's on our list, then that's fine with us. You know? But at least then, you know, you only have to check one box, saying that they're going to be coming home with you. They can come home with you as a parent. You can designate another adult to bring them home, or aunt or uncle, or whatever the case may be. Us as coaches encourage that they ride the bus home. We understand the demographics and we understand the geography of this district. It's very large. Okay, so it makes total sense that if we're playing for Saukey or whatever, and you guys live, you know, in that part of town, it makes total sense to bring your child home. You know, just for camaraderie purposes and team unity and things like that, we'd like for them to ride the bus home, but they're not required. So hopefully that clears up some confusion, and Nikki in the office doesn't have to ask me 1,000 questions throughout the year. Physical and alternate year cards, those need to be in before the first day of practice. So football starts tomorrow. You cannot practice until you have that physical or alternate year card in on file. And hopefully, if it's not a year card, you can take care of that tonight. And hopefully, at least for football players, you have the physical done by now. Okay. As far as the co-curricular goes, I just want to highlight a few things, and hopefully I won't keep you folks too long tonight. I'm not going to go through everything word for word here. I'm just going to highlight some of the key points that the code does have here in writing. First off, I'm going to go flip to page 4, and I'm going to talk about attendance at school. And I want to specifically pay attention to number 1 and 2. The student must be present for the second half of the school day to participate in a practice or scheduled contest and event on that day unless approved by an administrator. Okay, so if you happen to have a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment, you know, in the afternoon of school, okay, that would be an example of where you can come back and play a game or practice that evening, okay? But for those older students that are in youth options, and you decide to try to maybe pull a fast one on Mr. Ballman and say that you're going to youth options, and you don't quite make it, okay, you cannot practice or play in the game for that night. Okay, so basically, it cannot be an excuse in that regard. If a student is suspended from school for any reason, the suspension will include practices, performances, competitions that occur during that time, including in-school suspensions. Okay, now I haven't looked at the new student handbook this coming year, but I've heard that there may have been some changes made to it in regards to cell phone use in the classroom, where in the past, a parent would have to come pick it up, and then there was another violation, you have a little sit-down meeting. Now I believe that they're just going to hand out in-school suspensions. Okay, so if you really feel the need to text a buddy during 5th hour, okay, and you get caught, and you get in school, all right, you're not, and it's a Friday night, and you're on the varsity football team, you're not playing. Okay, so I want to be crystal clear with that. And so there's no heartbreak when that arrives. Okay. Going down to number 6, if a student is suspended for a code violation, a not academic one, but a code violation, for 1 or more WIAA tournament competitions, the minimum penalty is immediate disqualification of that student for the remainder of the total tournament series in that sport. Okay, so if you would happen to be a co-curricular violation, and it's, let's say it's 5 games, or 3 games, and there's 2 games left in the season, and we made the playoffs, in volleyball's case, they're going to regional competition. Okay, you're out for all the regional rounds, all the sectional rounds, and the state round as well. Okay, that is a WIA rule. That comes from the top. Okay, so we have no control of that. Just wanted to clarify that as well. And I haven't seen any yet, but if we happen to have any transfers that have come here and they have been ineligible, or you feel that you want to transfer out and trying to play at another school, that suspension is still going to take place. Transportation regulations, getting down to page 5. You know, I just want to highlight that again. I didn't mention it before. A transportation waiver that is signed by the parent or guardian that specifically states the participant will be provided alternative transportation home from the school event. Okay, so that's why that form, getting that form in there is important. That way then you do not have to approach a coach with a note. You know, I've coached in the past where they took the back of an aspirin label and tried to write the fine print and everything was smeared and we didn't know what was going on. So That way, when you have it in the office, it's on file, and it just makes it easy for everybody. Okay. Skipping to page 6. It is a Wisconsin state statute that law enforcement informs the school of anything, of any type of, I guess, a law is broken anyway. They're required. If we go and ask them, they need to give us the information, the names, who was there, for example, at a party, or who was given a citation of any sort. That's part of the law. Okay, so if by chance you would happen to get any type of ticket, okay, if there's any type of vandalism or disorderly conduct ticket of any sorts, okay, they are required, they have to tell us if we ask. Okay, and most oftentimes not, especially if they're local police, they will come in and volunteer that information. Okay, so just so that we are aware, that's a law. They need to they need to provide school districts with any information in the record relating to illegal possession of a dangerous weapon, drugs and alcohol, anything along that line. Before we get into the drugs and alcohol part, let's just talk real quick about academic eligibility. Incoming freshmen, this applies to you as well. Okay, if you had any F whatsoever in this past fourth quarter, you are academically ineligible for 21 days. Okay? And if it happens during the school year, you're ineligible for 15 school days. But since school is not in session yet, right now, for example, it's 21 days from the time the first competition is scheduled. Okay, so for football, for example, August 21st is our first game. It's 21 days that you are going to be sitting for grades from the start of August 21st. Okay, so basically you're out 3 games for football. For volleyball, your first competition at the varsity level is August 26th. For the sub-varsity levels, it's August 28th. So it'll be 21 days to that point. All right. Number 2, a student who does not meet the standards required for academic eligibility will be ineligible for 3 weeks. I mentioned that before. And will start the next school day following a marking period. So during the school year, second quarter, third quarter, whatever the case is, if you happen to have an F in the quarter, you could even pass a class for the semester. But if you get an F for the quarter, which right now our grading scale is 60%, is a D-. So it's a little bit more favorable than it was in years past. Typically, we used to 64%. Okay? If you get less than 60% in any of your classes, you are academically ineligible starting that next day. And as I said before, it never was the case, but it is now. You 8th graders coming in, it's always seen to be a period of adjustment, since I've been teaching here now for a few years, that 8th graders have a hard time getting themselves acclimated to the rigors of the high school academics. So it is important that you guys stay on top of that when school starts. Otherwise, there have been people who pass that on hard, and it's unfortunate. Okay, skipping over to page 8. We did change some verbiage in here this year to try to keep up with the times, per se. Number 1, there is no such thing as responsible use of controlled substances or mood-altering chemicals, alcohol, and tobacco. That includes the new latest fad of, I don't know what they call it now, vaping, okay, vaporized cigarettes, e-cigarettes, whatever you want to call them, okay, by any high school student. There's tons of reasons for it. You can read them on your own, but common sense just tells you, if you're a student athlete, you participate in co-curriculars here, for this school district, you are held to a higher standard. And that's not bad, it really is not. You're held to a higher standard in the classroom, in the community, among your peers. Associate yourself, and just give a little advice here to the students. Associate yourself with people that do not do that, and you'll be just fine. You'll have a very, very successful career. You'll enjoy your time here. I'm going to skip down to number 7. The persons reporting a violation Okay, and it's come up in the past, if an individual would report an incident, report another student, or if it's a parent, or if it's a grandparent, or an aunt or an uncle, if you report the violation, the allegation must be in writing. Okay? I'm not going to open up my mailbox and see some random photos of some students who are drinking and no notice sign. Okay? Photoshop is amazing nowadays on what you can do. Okay? It cannot be based on hearsay. So there has to be some proof. Okay, that proof meaning if you come in and put it in writing, that yes, I did see this person here, or I saw this person out tubing, or whatever the case was, they were drinking, or they were smoking in their car, or whatever the case is. If it's in writing, then technically that would be a violation. Obviously, some investigation would take place and whatnot, but that would be a violation of extracurricular code. The mere presence policy, I just want to clear some things up here as well. A student may not attend gatherings where drugs or alcohol are present or being consumed. For example, a high school party. You show up to a high school party, and you find out there's drinking going on, or there's smoking going on, or there's use of drugs going on. You need to turn around and leave immediately. Okay? You don't have a mode of transportation. Am I going to tell you to get on the road during the night, try to walk down the middle of the road and walk home? Okay? Well, that's a tough call, obviously. But you need to remove yourself in that situation somehow, some way. You're going to go to a place like that. Okay? And let's just say you are completely naive. You think that everybody in the world is perfect and good and fine. Okay? And you're going to go to a place at 8 o'clock at night, and the sun's set. Better have a mode of communication with you somehow, some way. Cell phone, a ride, whatever. Okay? You turn around and leave immediately because you didn't know if something was there. That's what needs to be done. If you go in there for 5 minutes, say hi to a friend, that's an athletic code violation. Okay? Police will come into that residence. They will take down every name of who's there. Okay, and they will give the drinking tickets to those that were drinking, or that were in possession of tobacco or drugs or whatever. Okay? And the first violation, with the mere presence policy. It does not pertain to family gatherings such as weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, graduation parties, monitored events, as long as you're following the intent of the code. Okay, does that mean if you're standing up in a wedding, can you toast the bride and groom? Okay? No. If it's grape juice, sure, go ahead. Okay? But just because it's a wedding, or just because it's an event with family members, and your Uncle Jim Bob says, come on, have a beer with me, doesn't make it okay. So they're clear. Okay? Even if you have parental permission, that does not condone it. But as far as being in, a tavern at midnight or 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. in the morning, there's no reason to be there. Okay, so the mere presence policy, if you were in the presence of drugs, alcohol, or tobacco, you do not leave immediately. That would be considered an athletic code violation. With the first violation, 25% of the total scheduled events. If you self-report, and what I mean by self-reporting is you come in and you volunteer the information that you were at a party, and you didn't get a fine of any sort from law enforcement, then we drop it down to 10%. If you successfully participate in a school-approved assessment and follow a program, which runs around $200 to $300 last time I checked. Okay, the program administrator will notify the school. Okay, the cost of the program will fall on the student. You need to submit the paperwork then to me when you do complete that. Number 4, the suspended individual required to practice and attend games, matches, or activities out of uniform may sit with the team for all contests during the suspension unless otherwise directed by administration. Okay. Moving on to the second violation. If a participant, number 2, receives a second violation during the same academic year, you will be suspended from all activities for 1 calendar year. You get one as a freshman, and you get one as a sophomore, the following year, then it's 50% of the contest. Okay? If you go through another program assessment, alcohol assessment or what have you, and get the proper paperwork turned in after your second one, okay, then technically you can receive a third one and still be eligible for your high school career. So if you had a rough stretch as a freshman and a sophomore and didn't learn your lesson yet even as a junior, there's a chance for you to follow through with those assessments, you could possibly play as a senior. Third violation then, you do not do any program assessments. If you did a program assessment after your first one, but not after your second one, the third violation will be the remainder of your high school career. If you do a program assessment after the first 2, then you can have a 4th violation, the 4th one then you'd be up. But pretty much we run a 3 strikes policy. If you decide not to get any help with that, and that's that. Athletics, any co-curriculars here, it's privilege, okay? It's not a right, just so we're clear. And the self-reporting policy I mentioned before, while I was describing the activities. Moving on to page 12. These are just some samples of some other potential athletic code violations. It does not have to be, a code violation does not necessarily have to be just related to drinking, drugs, or smoking tobacco. Okay? If you know, like I said before, theft, vandalism, threaten a staff member, threaten a game official, if there's any type of intervention by police, committing a misdemeanor or felony, misdemeanor other than a traffic violation. I think a felony traffic violation, that would be something pretty serious as a felony traffic violation. That would fall under it. Okay, get a speeding ticket because you're late for practice. That's not a code violation. Okay, any one of these under here. Okay, this is just, and we can't cover everything in this code. It can be up to or including an athletic code violation based on what the administration decides. Okay? You know, I know it's an elephant in the room, but get out there. Cell phones in locker rooms. Okay? Can't be in there. It's a state statute. All right? Now, if you're in the locker room texting, okay, the coach sees you, they can sit you out for a quarter, they can sit you out for a half, they can sit you out, you know, for a game, whatever the case was. Obviously, every case is a little bit different. Okay? We're not going to pat down students when they come into the locker rooms here. All right? Just like we don't pat down students when they come into classrooms. All right? That's your device. But it can get you in trouble, like anything else. Okay? So just be smart and use common sense when you're in those positions. So group 1, there's 3 groups in here, virtually. Group 1 and group 2 will fall under these violations. Okay, and obviously with group 1 that covers all the WIA interscholastic sports, cheer, and dance. All right, you'll see back on, kind of got ahead of myself a little bit, but if you look back on page 3, group 2 Forensics, solo ensemble, senior class play, student council, class officers. You can see the list there for yourself. That falls under group 2. Okay, if a violation occurs and the student is in one of those groups, then the group advisor and the principal will get together and figure out the length of suspension. Minimum of 1 contest or event, and a maximum of a calendar year. Okay, so there's some things that only happen once a year. That would be a calendar year. Okay. I know, for forensics, for example, if you don't compete at the district level or whatnot, conference or district level, you can't compete at state level. Okay, so it may by default, under those regulations and guidelines, you may not be able to participate for state level competitions. All right, but those groups and activities will have it laid out when you sign up for those on what it'll be. And it really comes down to the discretion of the class advisor or the group advisors and our principal. For group 3, students who are given an activity score violation may incur penalties as outlined by the club or activity based on the rules established by that club or activity. So there are some clubs and activities under group 3 that have their own guidelines, in a sense. And you'll just follow those guidelines when that time comes. Okay? Anybody have any questions? I said I only highlighted a few things. On the back, just so we're clear, in order to keep track of who is here tonight, if you as the parent and your son or daughter was present, okay, you both can sign this and check that you were at this meeting, and you can turn it in at that table. Okay? If you as the parent were here, but your son or daughter was not, then take this form home, okay? And I will set up times alternative times for people to come in and get that done, get that taken care of. And they'll have to watch it, take a small quiz, and all that good stuff. Okay, so if both the parent and the student are here tonight, you can sign it and hand it in. If you have all your other forms, your physical forms, your alternate year card, the HIPAA forms, all those forms that are required for signatures, you can paper clip that all together, including the back page of this athletic code, and you can put that on a file on this table. Okay? For information on sporting events, I want to mention real quick, we have our school program that's now in our 2nd year. You can sign up for the schedule for your sports, and you can get real-time changes or updates sent right to your phone via text message or email. You can set up reminders of when a game or a contest is and where it's at. It's a very, very powerful tool. The coaches here, when we go to our individual meetings, they will have schedules printed out. Those schedules are subject to change. Okay? The football schedules, the volleyball schedules are still yet scheduled, they're subject to change. Okay? And you can sign up on subscribe or notify me, and anytime that I make a change to schedule, that automatically gets sent to your email or phone. Okay, so I encourage you to sign up for that, and that way everybody's in the know. We also do have a Facebook and Twitter account as well that you can follow, that we'll update. We'll try to update anyway on a regular basis, scores, maybe some pictures and things like that. I know people like to go on there and watch themselves now and all that good stuff, so we're trying to keep up with the times here a little bit. But some information will be sent that way as well. So I encourage you to follow the Crivitz Twitter account, like the Facebook page, and also I know, like for example, volleyball started up with a page. Football may be in the works as well as doing that. We might even have individual sports start their own pages, because that's kind of the thing of the time now. You go to bigger schools and everybody has something on that line. Okay, so If there are no other questions, you don't have to rush to get that paperwork on the table. Just, sometime before your individual sports meetings are over. The football parents and players are going to stay right here. The volleyball parents and players are going to go into the auditorium. And the dance team, parents and participants are going to go into the library. The cheerleaders are going to need to pick up a schedule from Coach Kelly, but she will have a meeting down the road because there's some other things that she needs to go over. So that meeting will be done. We'll get everything else taken care of.